What's going on, everybody? So in today's video I will be discussing my WBE draft and why I chose some of the Pokemon that I chose. So for my first pick, I was pick number 3 and I chose Zeraora. Zeraora is a Pokemon that has a very unique speed tier. It's capable of outspeeding pretty much everything in the tier outside of Excelgor and Scarf Pokemon, or Pokemon that boost their speed. But naturally it is going to be the fastest Pokemon without any items and any abilities or anything like that. And that is pretty big because this allows me to make this Pokemon a lot bulkier than what it appears to be. And it could allow me to go for mixed attacking sets as well, like it does in OU with Plasma Fist and Volt Switch. Heavy Duty Boots is a popular item on this Pokemon currently, but I don't know if I will be able to... I will be using that set in this format because I'll probably be setting up the hazards. I don't really mind just taking a little bit of chip. But I do have a lot of Volturn on my team, so I could opt to go for that. And to pair up Zeraora, I decided to go with a couple Spikes users. Klefki was the second one that I drafted, but is my tier 3 pick. It has spikes, it has dual screens, it can go with the Magearna, Calm Mind, Iron Defense, Draining Kiss, Stored Power set. It's basically a Pokemon that stops my opponent from being able to do whatever they want to do. So if they have a sweeper and it's ready to sweep me, I can always just click Thunder Wave and it won't be able to sweep me. If they have a lot of power on their team, a lot of physical Pokemon, I can just go for Reflect and that'll stop that. It's basically like an anti-cheese Pokemon. You won't be able to cheese me if I have this on my team. And it's capable of doing just basically what I want it to do. The ability that it gets, not the ability, but the it has a trapping move. It gets, I forget what it's called. The next turn that the turn after it dies, it can Fairy Lock. So if I click Fairy Lock on a Pokemon that kills me and then I go into a Pokemon that gets block, I'll be able to set up on that Pokemon. So that's pretty good. It gets some pretty cool moves as well, like Torment, stuff like that. It's pretty versatile, so I really like Klefki. Next, I picked Crocodile. Crocodile is actually amazing. I drafted it twice already in the MBL, the Multi-Battle League, and it did a lot of work there, and I really enjoy using this Pokemon. It's one of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon. Stealth Rock, Knockoff, Earthquake. It gets Scale Shot now, so it can boost its speed, so it doesn't have to go Choice Scarf if it wants to sweep. It just does what it does, but very, very well. I think it got access to Darkest Lariat now. It might have had it already, I'm not sure. It did get access to Close Combat, so it does have fighting coverage now, which is nice, but typically ground coverage and fighting coverage are interchangeable, so for the most part you do want to just go for the ground coverage. This Pokemon is pretty basic. There's really not much that you really need to consider, but with Zeraora, Klefki, and Crocodile, I can really prevent them from setting up hazards as well because Zeraora and Crocodile have Taunt and Klefki can get Tech to prevent hazards from being blown away. Next, my pick was Lucario. Lucario is a tier 4 that we did, and it's one of the Pokemon that I felt like it might not fit my team that well, but it's such a good Pokemon for the tier that it's in, I decided to draft it. Nasty Plot with priority special moves like Vacuum Wave, and then Swords Dance with Extreme Speed and Bullet Punch is really, really solid. It gets Agility, so in case my opponent has a faster team, I can just go for the Agility and use 3 attacks with that. Swords Dance Agility is also a set, but that is pretty reliant on the 2 coverage move that it does have, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be comfortable enough using Agility Swords Dance. Agility Nasty Plot is decent as well. Its special coverage is a lot better, because you don't have to, I mean, it has more special coverage, but it's weaker special coverage because Close Combat is definitely not the same as Aura Sphere. Close Combat is way stronger. So going special coverage, even though it's a little bit more, has more coverage, physical coverage is a lot stronger. But it's really cool. I wish I drafted a Shell Smash Pokemon so I could use Copycat with it, but I didn't. I was thinking about drafting Torkoal, but it wasn't in the cards. Next, I drafted Clawfish. This was the other Spike user that I have. It's another Pokemon that gets Intimidate, so Intimidate plus with Crocodile is going to be pretty difficult for physical attackers to really deal a lot of damage to me. So this also gets Taunt, and it's pretty fast, so it can set up spikes, and then a lot of the default users I can just explode on, so that's pretty good. It got access to Scale Shot as well, along with Crocodile, so it can also boost its speed as well. Toxic Spikes is always solid, but I think in Gen 8, Toxic Spikes is not as strong. But it's always nice just to have a grounded poison type to be able to absorb the Toxic Spikes. Next, I went with Slurpuff. Slurpuff is a Pokemon I drafted in Gen 7. I think that's the season where I won the GBA. And it got a few new moves, but it did lose Return for the Belly Drum set, but it gets Facade, so it's not too bad. But I think it always had Draining Kiss. And a lot of the stuff that it already had, it's good with, but it got a Sticky Web with Misty Explosion now, so you can use it as a suicide lead a little bit better. You don't have to rely on Dever anymore. But overall, Slurpuff is still really solid. I originally we were allowed to make transactions before we battled and before we knew our opponents in the WBE. So originally I had Indeedee, and I had Slurpuff with the Indeedee so that I could use the Unburden a little bit better with it, but all the Pokemon that I really wanted to abuse Indeedee with were already picked. I wanted Starmie, I wanted Gengar, I wanted Reuniclus, I wanted a Gardevoir, so a lot of those Pokemon that I wanted to use Indeedee with, they were already picked. So I was like, what's the point of using Indeedee if a lot of the Pokemon that I wanted to use Indeedee with were picked? So luckily for me, we were able to use week 0 transactions, and I was able to get Klefki instead of the Indeedee. Next, I have Siegelif. Siegelif is huge for my team because Zeraora really struggles to deal with ground types. And although Siegelif doesn't necessarily beat ground types immediately because they could always have rock coverage, it's a good switch in for those ground types so I can whittle them down. And if I have Flame Orb or something like that, I can trick the Flame Orb, I can shift, or whatever the move is called, Cycle Shift the burn away instead of having to trick the item. I can Cosmic Power up. It has stored power as well. It's pretty fast. It can use dual screens. This is actually just a really solid Pokemon, and I really needed it for my team. This is going to be incredibly important for how I play in the WBE. Next, I picked up Appleton. Just like the Siegelif pick, I needed a Pokemon that was a ground resist, and Appleton is a really solid ground resist. It gets recovery. It's pretty strong. It gets access to Iron Defense and Body Press. Apple Acid is a very strong move that it can utilize. And like I said, I really needed a good ground resist to go with Zeraora, and some of the other Pokemon on my team. Lucario and Clawfish do not like ground moves. Klefki as well. Crocodile is not a resist. Slurpuff is not a resist, so I need a ground resist. And next, I wanted to go with a Ghost resist. I mean, a Rapid Spin immunity. So I picked up a Ghost type, and it's also a Water Pokemon to just have a little bit more versatility in the amount of coverage that I have. So far, most of my team is physical. Zeraora can go both, Lucario can go both, but Crocodile, Clawfish, Slurpuff, they're typically going to be physical. Slurpuff can go special, but it doesn't have the immediate special power. And then Siegelif and Appleton. Siegelif is going to be special most of the time, and Appleton can also go both, but just the ability to go for Scald. It gets Taunt as well, so in case I want to make it fast, outspeed their Defogger, I can go with Taunt on this. It's a decent stall breaker. It has like Pain Split, Strength Sap, and Recover for recovery options. It's really solid. And most importantly, like I said, it is a Ghost type, so in case they do want to Rapid Spin my hazards away, I will have a spin blocker. Next, I picked Gourgeist as another ground resist and another spin blocker. This Pokemon is actually very versatile. It has 4 different forms, and I mean, some of the forms are pretty bad, but 2 of the forms are really solid. One is pretty fast and one is really bulky, and it gets decent coverage. Of course, Trick is really nice with a lot of the setup that I have. Jellicent gets Trick, Siegelif gets Trick, and Gourgeist gets Trick. and Klefki gets switcheroo. So those 4 Pokemon could help me a lot in being able to set up with my team a little bit better. And another ghost is helpful for my being able to Rapid Spin, block Rapid Spin, and my last Pokemon is Scizor. So I really wanted Gengar and I really wanted Starmie, but those were picked already, and I could have changed up my draft significantly based on the last pick that I had because of the week 0 transactions that we could do. We could change up anything on our team based on the Pokemon that were free agents, but I couldn't really think of anything, so I decided to just go with the Scizor. Scizor's really solid. Didn't really get much better in Gen 8 outside of the lack of hidden power, which is actually really good because a lot of these like random Pokemon that just have good defense can just tech hidden power and be able to 2-hit kill you, and now that's not the case anymore. They actually have to run a fire coverage move, and there's really not a lot of coverage for fire moves anymore. A lot of the fairy types get mystical fire, but a lot of the fairy types might just die to Scizor's attack, and there's a lot of ghost types that get burning jealousy, but they also already get mystical fire anyway, so there's that as well. And Appleton I have as a really solid fire resist. So the problem with my team that I have right now is I wish I had one more Pokemon that was really fast, similar to like maybe like above 105. That'd be really solid, so I can outspeed base 100s and stuff like that. Maybe even above 110. And I do have a bit of a fire and ground weakness because a lot of Pokemon that I do want to bring pretty often, they are pretty vulnerable. And my Crocodile is the only Pokemon with Stealth Rock on my team, and I would like to save that maybe as a sweeper sometimes, maybe as a bulk up setup sweeper, and sometimes just utility just to come in and knock off, taunt, stuff like that. And unfortunately I don't want to run Stealth Rock on it every week, and I might have to because it is my only Stealth Rock user. So if I had another Stealth Rock user, I don't have Rapid Spin, and I do have 2 Spike users, Sticky Web, Toxic Spikes, and Stealth Rock, so that's unfortunate. So Rapid Spin would be pretty good on my team. A better ground resist because I don't want to be running. Siegelif seems really fine, but Appleton and Gourgeist, I'm not too sure of how well they are going to be as my ground resist. And unfortunately, like them being grass types as well just make me a little bit weaker to flying. I only have, what is that, 2 flying resists, so that's not great either. Klefki, I have 3, Lucario and Zeraora, but Zeraora is pretty much the only good one because I don't really want to bring in Klefki that often against flying types because a lot of them also carry Heat Wave. So like a lot of the things that I'm weak to, they just happen to be things that can overwhelm my team, I guess. I don't know what the right word is, but so for example, a lot of Pokemon that I want to click Stealth Rock on, they're going to be running heavy duty boots, so they're not going to take hazard damage. So if I do go into Klefki to set up spikes, they're going to be not only immune to the spike, which is whatever, but if Crocodile can't use Earthquake that effectively against them because they're going to be immune. And if I do go Klefki to be able to switch into the flying move, a lot of the flying type Pokemon do get Heat Wave, so Klefki's not a solid switch in either. And Zeraora is obviously going to be struggling to deal with ground types, so I can't utilize the stab that effectively with Zeraora. But I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to make this team work. My team's not the strongest in the draft, but hopefully with some free agent moves I can make this team a little bit stronger. And I'll see you guys for week 1 shortly. We'll also be doing power rankings or recaps or whatever. I'm not sure what we'll be doing immediately, but I do have a power rankings video with MV and Joey coming out later this week. And we rank all the teams in the WBE in the singles format, except for our own. So I didn't rank my Scizors, and MV didn't rank his Chimpactors, and then Joey actually joined later on in the video anyway. So that is it. Tell me what you guys think of my team. If you guys know of any ways to improve my team with any free agent moves, let me know. And let me know if you guys are excited. Peace.